Today I'm going to go through all 9 SSR Hunters in Solo Leveling Arise and the best gear sets for you to actually equip on those characters. There might be something you might not expect. And starting off we have Jiru. She is a HP scaler that deals water elemental damage, and one of the best gear sets you're going to want to use on her is going to be the Noble Sacrifice gear set, as you can increase your HP by 8%, so not only are you going to be more tankier, but you're also going to be able to do more damage with this. But what you can also do on the 4 set is decrease your own attack stat by 8%, which on paper sounds bad, but it doesn't really matter because considering she's a HP scaler, it doesn't really make any difference. But then what it will then do, it will increase the rest of your team members' attack by an additional 8%, so if you've got her plus 2 attack scalers, then you've got a really good combo right there. And then I'm also going to be doing alternate gear sets as well that you can use on her, which is going to be the Guardian gear set, as you can increase the shield effect that she gives by 30%, because that's what she does. She applies shields with her first basic skill, I believe. And then basically whenever a team member, including the player, activates a shield, you'll be able to increase the damage that they deal by 10% for 10 seconds as well, which is really good. And then for the accessories, we've got Outstanding Connection, because when you get it on the 4 set, whenever you switch out, you can increase the attack of you and your team members by up to 28% for 15 seconds, which is a huge increase. But you can only really use this in Hunter mode, as you've got a tag out or switch out, for example. And then if you want to run her as a more of a DPS kind of character, you can run the Executioner one, as basically whenever you attack enemies with, well, if you have it on the 4 set, 70% or less, you can deal up to 20% increased damage dealt. Emma Lawrence is up next, and she is also a HP scaler that deals fire elemental damage. And a really big part of her kit is being able to deal a lot of break damage to the enemies, especially to enemies that re-give their own like break meters back to themselves. So this gear set, solid analysis, is going to be perfect for her, as basically your damage dealt to enemies in the break state increases by 15%, and then whenever you attack an enemy with the weakness attribute, so basically any enemies that are weak to fire damage, you'll be able to increase the break effect by 30%. And this is fantastic because she breaks on so many different things. I think pretty much every skill she has, apart from her ultimate skill, she does break damage, which is fantastic. And then it also works really well with her actual signature weapon, Night Thoughts, as you can increase the damage dealt to targets affected by the break effect by 12% as well with this weapon. And then the next best gear set, I think in my opinion, is going to be the one-hit kill gear set, as you can increase your ultimate skill damage by 25% on the 2 set, and then on the 4 set you can decrease your ultimate skill cooldown by an additional 40% as well. And this is also fantastic, as on her ultimate skill Burning Pride, basically whenever you have the heat absorption buff effect, you will unfortunately decrease your damage by 33.33%, which is whatever, it can be managed. However, what's really good about this is that you are then actually refunded 50% of your ultimate gauge or your power gauge, and then also 50% of the cooldown time on it. So when you pair that with the gear set that reduces the cooldown even more, plus also increases the damage of it, you should have a relatively spammable ultimate. And then for accessories, again, because HP scalers don't really have too much, we have Outstanding Connection as well as Executioner to give you either yourself or your team a pretty decent damage increase. Libora is up next, and she is a attack scaler that deals dark elemental damage, which means the armed gear set is going to be one of, if not her best gear set for her to use if you want to deal damage with her, as you can increase your own attack by 5% whilst ignoring 15% of the target's defense and attacks as well on the 4 set. However, I do think the Destroyer gear set can also be relatively useful on her, because she's all about applying this charm effect or whatever, which basically just makes your enemies take more damage, which means I think she could be used as a more of like a supportive kind of DPS based character. So basically I think this gear set would be good because it gets your ultimate gauge faster by 20%, plus it will initially charge your ultimate gauge by 50% at the start of battle, and then will also increase your the rest of your party's ultimate gauge charge rate by an additional 20% as well. And then for accessories, the Beast Necklace gear set is going to be one of her best ones, as basically whenever you land a crit, you can have up to a 50% chance to increase your attack by 1.6%, which can stack up all the way to 100 times. Or there's also Champion on the Field, which can increase your attack by 5% for 4 seconds when landing a crit. But if you get the 4 set effect, you can increase that up to be able to stack it to 4 times, so you can have up to a 20% attack increase. And this is good because her weapon is all about increasing the chance of your enemies being crit, and also the amount of damage that they take from critical hits as well. Huang Dongsu is the next character, and he's a defense scaler that deals wind elemental damage. But because he's a defense scaler, there's not really any gear sets that work too well with him, so the toughness gear set will increase his crit rate and crit damage can be used, as well as the gear set one hit kill to be able to increase his damage from his ultimate skill and also decrease the cooldown of it, as those are the two only gear sets that can necessarily just increase his damage. So because because he's a defense scaler that wants to spam his skills, he doesn't really have any usages. But because he wants to spam his skills a lot, the concentration of firepower gear set is fantastic for him, as on the 2 set you can basically increase your skill mana point consumption rate by 20%, so you're going to have to build in with some mana points. But what it can then do is increase your damage that you deal by 5% and then decrease the cooldown of those basic skills by 5% as well. But if you get the 4 set, you can increase both of those 5% values to 18% each. And then finally, Executioner will be the next best one for him. Min Byung-gu is probably the best supporting character in the game, and he is a HP scaler that deals light elemental damage. So just like with Seojiru, the Noble Sacrifice set is going to be great for him, as you can give your team attack buffs whilst increasing your own HP, as well as the Destroyer gear set, so you can get his ultimate much faster, so then you can get the crit damage buffs and have a much higher uptime on those things, whilst also increasing your allies' ultimate gauge charge rate as well. And then for accessories, Outstanding Connection is going to be one of his best ones in Hunter mode, and then he doesn't really have any other ones, as they're all just about increasing damage, so unfortunately this is going to probably be the only one that you want for him. But if you are playing using him with Jinwoo, then you might as well just use something like the Executioner gear set, just give him a bit of extra damage when the enemy is at 70% or less HP. Woo Jinchul is the next character, and he is extremely similar to Dongsu, as he's a defense scaler that deals wind elemental damage, and is also a character that wants to spam his basic skill a lot, so once again there's not really many options for him. But unlike Dongsu, Jinchul can actually use the Solid Analysis gear set, as being a defender like a tank, he can deal break damage, which is really useful, so this gear set will work very nicely for him. Or if you want to use something different, you can also just use the one-hit kill to get some damage bonuses. And then the same goes for Jinchul, the same as it does with Dongsu. The concentration of firepower, of course, is going to be what you want, as you want to be able to decrease the cooldown of your basic skills as much as you possibly can, so then you can use them more to deal more damage with them, as well as getting the 18% or up to 18% damage increase as well. And then of course the Executioner will be the next best thing. Choi Jong-in is a very unique DPS in the fact that he is just not able to crit. It's impossible for him to crit, but it does mean that he has some really high amounts of attack increases, whilst having a bunch of defense shredding on a lot of his skills and stuff like that, which does mean the armed gear set is literally perfect for him, because literally just like Choi Jong-in does, this gear set will increase your attack and also will give you more the ability to ignore a percentage of your enemy's defense, which makes this set just honestly perfect for him. And then the next best thing, just to make him do as much damage as you possibly can, is if you aren't going to use the armed gear set, which I do heavily recommend you use way over this, you also have the one-hit kill gear set as well for the extra ultimate benefits. Although unfortunately, when it comes to accessories, it does mean he doesn't really have a lot, as things like the expert gear set, as well as also the champion on the field, is based around critting, and which unfortunately these things do increase your attack stats, so if he could use these things that'd be great, but he can't. So it means things like Executioner are going to be your best bet, as it's pretty much the most easy and accessible form of damage increase that you can get for him. But you can also use Concentration of Firepower if you want to increase your skill damage even more. Lim Tae-gyu is up next, and he's probably my favorite SSR I've currently used in the game, as he is all about using his basic attacks and his core attacks, and he's also an attack scaler that deals dark elemental damage as well, which is easily going to make the Solid Foundation gear set his best in slot gear set, as on the 2 set effect you can increase your basic attack damage by up to 18%, as well as on the 4 set effect you can increase your core attack damage by an additional 18% as well, and when that core attack will hit, you can charge your core gauge by 60 as well. So this gear set is fantastic. It's as if it was made for him. So yeah, this gear set is fantastic for him. Definitely the best one that you can have. But the next best thing is going to be the armed gear set, as you can get the attack increase, as well as the ignoring of 15% of the target's defense and attacks. And we also want to increase our attack stat as much as we possibly can. So I think the expert gear set is going to be my favorite one for him, and definitely the best one that you could probably use on him, which does mean you're going to need a good amount of crit rate on him. And then there's also champion on the field, which also increases your attack as well, or if you just want flat damage, Executioner is more than good as well. And then the very final character on this list is going to be Baek Yoonho. He's the final SR character that's currently out, and he is another defense scaler that deals light elemental damage as well. But also, just like how it was with Jinchul, Baek Yoonho also does break damage, and does even more break damage than Jinchul does, I believe. So of course the Solid Analysis gear set will be perfect for him, just to get as much break damage as you possibly can. Or you make him do more damage with the one-hit kill gear set. And then finally, when it comes to accessories, he probably has the least amount of options that you could possibly have, unfortunately. So Again, the Executioner gear set is going to be his best one. And then if you want to run him a bit more supportive, the Outstanding Connection is also fine, because then you can just swap him out in Hunter mode and then bring in like an actual main DPS like Limtake U or Libora or somebody like that is an actual attack scaler, and then you can make them do more damage as well. So there you have it. That is all 9 SSR characters done. All of their best gear sets, in my opinion, within the game. So if you found this video useful or helpful just in general, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!